everybody. As I'm sure you're aware of by now, um, AMP has been canceled until further notice. However, I'm going to be finishing up our series in Colossians. So, as I'm sure you're aware of by now, Colossians is written by Paul to the church in Colossae, and it is written while Paul has been imprisoned by the Romans. And just for a quick recap, Colossians can kind of be broken down into kind of two parts. When Jesus is asked about what the greatest commandment is, he says that there are two, right? Um, love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul and mind, but also to love your neighbor as yourself. And so, kind of the first three chapters can be broken down into that kind of love God aspect. And now this fourth chapter is mainly about loving people. And just for some more background, um, the church right now, not the church in Colossae, right, but the church in this time period, the whole one is kind of under attack. It's under attack physically by the Romans. They're persecuting people. They're killing Christians en masse. However, it's also under attack spiritually. There's a lot of false ideas being sown. That's one of the reasons why Paul wrote this, is to combat those false ideas. So it's just a very stressful time in the beginnings of the Jesus movement, right? The beginnings of Christianity. Um, and so with that knowledge, let's jump into our passage. Devote yourselves. Oh, we're 2 through 6. Colossians 4, 2 through 6. Devote yourselves to prayer. Stay alert in it with thanksgiving. At the same time, pray also for us, that God may open a door to us with the word, to speak the mystery of Christ, for which I am in chains, so that I may make it known as I should. Act wisely toward outsiders, making the most of the time. Let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you should answer each person. So, like we talked about, this is a really stressful time for the early church, and we can really easily apply this to the very stressful time that we're going through right now, with the virus going around and people having to self quarantine, and just a very, very uncertain time. So we can really easily apply this to our current situation. Um, yeah. So and with that context in mind, let's see what Paul would encourage us to do during this stressful time. Very first verse that we're looking at: devote yourselves to prayer. So I think that is really a great advice from Paul here. Surprise, 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 right? I think that during this stressful time, during any stressful time, I think it's important for us to devote ourselves to prayer, right? To be crying out to God, right? To be asking for safety, to be, just praying over whatever comes to our heart when we're talking to Him. And then also, there's really two things that I want you guys to take away from this. So let's look at this. In verse 5, it says, act wisely toward outsiders, making the most of the time. And then in other verses, Paul's talking about, hey, don't pray for me for just safety. Pray for me to be able to continue this work that I've started. Just because I'm in prison, just because I'm in danger, doesn't mean I want this whole movement that I've been a part of to just go away. Like, that's still my goal, right? So I think that that's what we need to be praying for. Because right now it's kind of a hopeless time. I think a lot of people feel stressed. I feel like a lot of people feel without hope. And I think that this is a perfect opportunity for us to be practicing that, go aspect of the know, grow, go. To be trying to share hope with people who are hopeless, to be trying to lift them up, to be trying to encourage them. But then also, I think it's really important for us to be thinking about, because let's skip down to 7. So 7 to the end of the chapter. It's kind of a weird, weird little passage. Paul is talking about different people who are going to be coming by the church in Colossae, and how he wants the members there to interact with them. So I think what that is demonstrating is he doesn't just want people to be caring for outsiders. This is him demonstrating what it looks like to be a member of the Jesus movement, and it's to be caring for your Christian brothers and sisters. I think that's extremely important during this time. So don't just be praying for opportunity, be sharing hope, right? Be praying for your fellow Christian brothers and sisters during this very stressful time. And just be constantly attempting to share hope with them, right? To be building them up, be reassuring them, and to be reinforcing their faith. I think that's one of the things that we need to be praying for during this very stressful time. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. Yeah, I would just hope that you would just be active in praying, not only for safety, but and peace, but for these two things that we talked about, right? Bringing hope to the hopeless, right? But also being able to build up your Christian brothers and sisters. From the AMP family, we love you. We're praying for you. Stay safe.